Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever EPL Chronicle podcast. I'm your host, Louis at Mertens. I'm joined today by Jem at King Davies and Brandon at B8Ola_.
Hello.
Dad, say hi.
Hello, I'm Brandon.
All right, so today we're going to go through all of the past game weeks' games, including Sunderland, Arsenal, and Middlesbrough, Bournemouth. And we're going to concentrate on United Burnley at the end and talk about what's been going wrong for Manchester United. So to start us off, Sunderland versus Arsenal. Lads, any thoughts?
Okay, so first I'd like to talk about Arsenal's player form and how it seems that they've suddenly picked up, and I wonder if they can carry it on towards the end of the season. You know, they've been known to drop off after Christmas, so what do you guys think?
Jem, go ahead first.
They've been looking for like a world-class striker for a long time, to be honest, and they've been playing Sanchez up front recently, and as a total they had 21 shots on Saturday. Well, I know Sunderland were abysmal that day, but it just shows maybe they don't need that world-class name, but we'll have to see.
I don't know myself about Sanchez, because when you watch all the replays or the whole game, Sanchez really dictated everything. He was always, no matter how deep he was or how high up he was, whenever Arsenal started an attack, Sanchez had a say in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's that much as a false nine, because teams like Liverpool have been playing a false nine recently, and Firmino, he's just been rotating with the other four. Sanchez hasn't been rotating; he's just been dropping far down, because there's lots of moments where there's no actual striker up front. Apart from that first goal, but I don't know. He might not be a false nine. Maybe Giroud's return might be something good. What do you guys think?
I still think that Giroud's very important for Arsenal. He gets a lot of stick, obviously, when he doesn't score in a few games, but he's, like, as you saw against the Sunderland game, he scored with his first shot. He's still important to Arsenal as a striker, and I think that, Sanchez is doing good at strike. He could be better played on the wing, supplying Giroud in more with Ozil behind. I think Sanchez and Ozil together have a lot of goals and assists in them, but it's just like applying them correctly, and that's how they get the best out of the team.
I don't know if they're going to be able to, I don't know if, because it's due to Olivier Giroud's late return that they're playing Sanchez up front. They don't really have any other options for striker. And, it doesn't look like Wenger's going to change his entire game plan for the whole season just to accommodate Sanchez as a striker. I think he's going to go back to last year's tactics when they had Giroud up front.
I'd like to see Lucas Perez played. They brought him in the summer and he's not really had a good shout in the Premier League.
No impact.
I watched him at the Emirates when Southampton played Arsenal, and he looked really good.
He got a few assists in the Ludogorets game at Champions League, so I think he could do alright in the team.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Wenger's judgment, though.
Next topic we're going to talk about is where is it going wrong for Sunderland? What is happening with them? Why are they doing so poor? So, Louis, do you want to start?
Well, I recently wrote an article on this. You can find it on the blog. But I mainly pointed out, and I want to point this out again, is that Sunderland, they've got Moyes, right? And Moyes is a proven Premier League long-term stay. When he was at Everton, he'd been there for years, and he got them a pretty decent finish. He moved them from bottom mid-table to upper mid-table. And although that's not a massive achievement in itself, Martinez got them Europa League in his first few seasons. Yeah. People expected things from him, and he brought in some really good signings, and Denaya and Januzaj. But I think they're trying to change from traditional Sunderland football, hoofing long balls from the centre backs, to passing, because they got more passes per game now, and less clearances per game now, and it's just not paying off.
Well, I think the Sunderland team has a lot of potential in it, and I think it's down to Moyes. He's the main issue as to why they're not performing. You saw with Sam Allardyce, they were playing games. Yes, they lost quite a few games still, but they survived comfortably. Well, I say comfortably. They didn't get relegated, which was good for Sunderland. Newcastle went down, so their fans were happy. Yeah. But, go on, sorry. But, okay, anyway, so with Moyes, you saw it at United. There was a lot of class in the team at United, but he couldn't get the best out of them. So I think he's the problem, and the sooner they get rid of him, the better.
What do you think?
Well, Southampton played Sunderland in the EFL Cup the other week, and Sunderland played, I'd say, a full-strength side, where Southampton did a few rotations, and even then they still looked poor, and David Moyes actually got sent off from the touchline, and he's I think, receiving a touchline ban for next game.
Next game.
I think he's losing his grip already, and I think that if they carry on with him, and if they stick to their guns, then they're not going to get anywhere. So,
the verdict is Moyes should be out. So next game, West Brom City.
Okay, so first we're going to talk about Aguero. Is he hitting form again? And Yeah, basically. So who wants to start?
You can go ahead, Jem.
Yeah, Aguero, just quality. One of the maybe 4 or 5 world-class players in the league. Just again showed it on Saturday.
He's a quality striker, and being a Man United fan, at the start of the season I thought Ibrahimovic was going to wipe the league, but Aguero has just shown his class year after year, and that for me makes him the best striker in the league. Probably followed by Diego Costa, but we'll talk about that in another section.
I think it's like the thing with I mean, it's been one game, right? We can't say he's hit form because he scored 2 goals in one game, and it's West Brom too. But it's also a big statement for Guardiola. I mean, he dropped him against Barca when everyone was really shocked because, you know, it's probably their biggest game of the season away at the Nou Camp and in the group stages too. And he dropped Aguero, and most people were thinking, look, if he's going to drop Aguero, maybe he's lost all confidence in Aguero. Maybe he's going to get rid of him. And then all of a sudden he calls him up. Aguero does what he wants. He scored, you see his second goal against West Brom. That was an absolute screamer, and that's really just what Aguero does. He puts it top bins just because he wants to.
With another point I'd like to mention about the City teams, Gundogan, in the last game, he got a couple of assists, I think, and he looked pretty strong. So what do you think about that? Is he about to hit form, or is he... What do you think?
Well, it's only West Brom. Like, I watched the highlights and they didn't play the best of football at times.
Right, okay, so we're going to go on to another quick topic.
Well, I'm just going to quickly say, the thing with Gundogan is in the previous games, when he started, he wasn't getting too much movement. You know, he's deployed as a centre mid, and then he sort of moves around, distributes a few balls. But up against West Brom, he was higher up the pitch than players like De Bruyne. And the assists that he did 2 assists, I think, and both assists were really edge of the box sort of things. So I think maybe it's this more free role that's helping him play better.
He is a class player, and we saw it at Dortmund. I think it's just how he's applied and how they play him and how they get the best out of him. And I think eventually, as Guardiola experiments with the team, then they'll get the best out of Gundogan. Yeah. I mean, he's a class player, you can't deny it. Anyway, next topic we're going to go on to talk about is Pulis football, and has it been exposed? We'll talk about that quickly. What do you think?
Personally, I think like Pulis football, right? He's been in the league for so long. It's one of those. There's Pulis football, there's Allardyce football, there's Big Sam football, and that's about it. You know, it's the traditional English way of playing football, and that was like the biggest talking point when, or one of the biggest talking points when Pep came to City was: is he going to manage against a team like West Brom, who sit deep and try to distribute it high? But he really did it well. I mean, 4-0, even though it's West Brom, 4-0.
It was a good game, and he needed it. Guardiola needed it. So you get a lot of stick. Well, not a lot of stick, to be honest. In the media, you don't really hear it, but he's not won a game in 6 games. So I think this 4-0 was coming. Anyway, we're going to go on to the next match, which was Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. And do you think Crystal Palace have become predictable?
At times, yeah.
I think Pardew needs to change it up a bit. I mean, he's playing kind of the same system in every game, and it's getting found out. So
I think it's a bit his fault as well. I mean, he bought Benteke, and when you buy a player like Benteke, and you're a team like Crystal Palace, the other team immediately knows you're going to be sending in crosses for the big
long
man
balls,
up front.
Yeah. Coutinho, what do you think about Coutinho?
I mean, as a Liverpool fan, I'm impressed. It's last season he's been compared to players like Ozil and Payet, who I think he's between, better than Payet, worse than Ozil, but in the way that he's very inconsistent. On his day, he can score a banger and assist 2 goals, and you think, wow, this must be one of the best players in the league. But then, for some games, he completely disappears. And this season is 10 games in, and he's performed for well over 7-8 of them.
Yeah, he's doing very well for him, and I think he just needs a strong run of games, and he'll only get better.
Yeah,
very much.
Okay, so the next quick topic I'd like to talk about is Sacco needed in Liverpool's defence. It's come about that he's getting transferred maybe in January. So what do you think?
He's been starting for the under-23s recently.
Yeah.
Has he? I don't know that.
Yeah. He had a fallout with Klopp.
Yeah, I heard it was on a Snapchat story or something like that.
Yeah, he was still injured in the pre-season. He was still injured, but he came with the squad for morale and all that.
Yeah.
And then Klopp deemed what he was being a bit of a piss off to everyone else, and he got him sent home. And I think that's the thing,
that
right?
Pushed him over the edge, I guess.
Klopp really. I mean, this is a year where I'm not not saying at all. I mean, I'm one of the most pessimistic fans there is. Potentially pushing for the title, and you don't want someone like Saka who's going around with an air horn in training, like "Oi, oi, this is funny." Yeah. You know, the new Balotelli, because that sort of doesn't help the squad keeping serious.
Because you can obviously see that Klopp doesn't really see a future with Saka with signing Matip.
I hope he does.
Matip's been a good signing, by the way. But anyway, we're going to talk about we'll go on to talk about Tottenham and Leicester game now. Do you think the Tottenham's injury problems is going to cause them a lot of issues?
Well, they're getting Harry Kane back for the North London derby.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I think obviously you do get a lot of injuries, but the squad they've got is capable of filling in, but it lacks some quality sometimes. I mean, we'll talk about Jansen quickly, and he's being compared to the new Soldado. He scored a penalty. He scored 15 penalties in, all of his penalties in the last 15. That doesn't make really much sense, but anyway, he's been doing a bit of a flop so far in the Premier League. What do you think?
Yeah.
Jem, go
ahead. I mean, I've watched a couple of Tottenham's games where he's been playing. He hasn't looked the best of striker, and as you said, he only really can score from penalties. I'm sure, because obviously he's got quality service with Eriksen, Ali, Son at the moment playing really well, but he's just not finishing.
And he scored a good goal for the Netherlands in the last international break. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So he's obviously got quality. He just needs to apply it more, and he needs to be applied into Spurs team more, I think. We'll talk about Leicester quickly and their fall from grace. What do you think about that?
Can I quickly jump back on Tottenham whilst we're at it? I mean, the thing with Vincent Janssen, right? He has Harry Kane's shot accuracy this season and last season was 60%. Vincent Janssen so far is 35%. He takes a quarter as many shots as Harry Kane, and evidently he's scored no goals from open play this season.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the highlights, he's one of those players, he picks it up on the end of the box and he thinks, I'm going to shoot it from the edge of the box, and he shoots it well out. And I think Janssen's not the answer.
No, I feel like as a player coming, obviously you've got to have adapt and gel with your teammates and that. But
I think he's not done that yet.
Exactly. I think Ali and Son had, he won player of the tournament. He's piping down now, but Ali against Leicester, he was dictating everything. Ali picked up a ball and he was back in that sort of, phase of play that he sometimes does where, he picks up the ball, he can pass it to the other side of the field if he wants.
Ali is a good player, and I think that in the future, as he progresses, he's only going to get better and better. So it's just, when he hits his peak, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, go on.
Quickly on penalties, because obviously Tottenham got that penalty, and don't know if you saw it, but it's again one of those things with, I think, Leicester, Stoke, Southampton about it a couple of times, where it's the new rules about contact with players. People can go down easy on game penalties. Just wonder what your opinion is on that.
We'll talk about some of the referee decisions in the Manchester United-Burnley match, so I've got something I'd like to say there. But do you want to? We'll quickly move on to Leicester and their fall from grace. So what do you think? What's your...
I expected it. Honestly, I predicted them to come ninth, right? And this is Leicester we're talking about. And the fact that no one found out their tactics last season late on was really surprising. Well, I mean, some teams did. They were getting a few draws at the end of the season, if you remember.
Yeah.
And it was basically from teams parking the bus and hooping the ball because Leicester couldn't deal with that. Their centre backs have been exposed to that this year. Robert Huth and Wes Morgan. Every time they're in a tricky situation. Last year, they had the confidence to kick it about. This year, they've lost this confidence, and they're just fumbling about. The penalty they conceded to Tottenham was completely ridiculous. Robert Huth should do a lot better for himself.
I think it just shows how much they're missing Kante. I mean, he was pivotal for them, and he's showing himself in the Chelsea team as well that he wasn't a one-season wonder. He's a great player, and they miss him a lot. But anyway, we're going to move quickly now. We'll just talk briefly about the Middlesbrough-Bournemouth game. I want to mention Jack Wilshere. I mean, he's been quite disappointing so far. What do you think?
I think he's a bit... he came from Arsenal, and at Arsenal, there's lots of Arsenal fans. They're notorious for saying, look, Jack Wilshere is going to be the next big English midfielder.
Yeah.
And I don't think he proved it to many English football fans. And he made it into the squad for the Euros, all right, and he had a pretty disappointing Euros. And I think most people expected from his time at Bournemouth, all right, this is a team where he is bigger than most other players. He should really outplay the opposite. He should really outplay the rest of his own team, which is where big players thrive.
Yeah.
And he's not done anything. Aside from his corners, he has done nothing, spectacular at Bournemouth, which is what everyone expected from him.
Personally, I'm just going to come out and say he's very overrated, and he's not half the player that a lot of people say he is. He has one or two games, like for England, for example, he scored a goal, a really good goal from outside the box, and people are like, oh, Wilshire's back, this and that and the other, and then he just gets injured again. I mean, if he plays consistently without injury, he could be a good player, but injuries keep affecting him, and I think his attitude in games sometimes gets in the way of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move quickly now on to the Watford-Hull match.
Wait, about Bournemouth though.
Okay.
About Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about
yeah, okay, go on then.
I think my opinion on Middlesbrough, right, is when they came up, the signings they made, Valdez, Guzan, those are two good keepers.
Negredo.
Guzan as a backup is good. Negredo and Fisher, those are good signings. Those are signings a top half team would be making. Yeah. And albeit they might be substitutes. But, I was really looking forward to them. And although they've been a bit disappointing, they're still a very, very bottom half of the table. Yeah. They're actually doing really well for themselves. Their style of play is like a well-set Premier League team. And I'm really happy to see them like that. I
hope they stay up for that, personally. I'd like to see them have a good few seasons in the Premier League. And I think they will. With the quality they've got in the team, they shouldn't be going down. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, quickly, we're going to go on to Watford-Hull. We'll talk briefly about that. What do you think of Hull's confidence? I mean, at the start of the season, they were high-flying.
Ever since Mike Phelan signed that contract, they haven't won a game since then, I don't think.
Ever since he became permanent manager.
Apart from in the EFL Cup, I mean, at the start, everyone probably thought Hull were going to be a walkover. That's sort of why they beat Leicester, Swansea. They were just expecting an easy win, but Hull sort of took them on the counter, and some about them only having like 13 fit first-team players. So everyone probably thought,
I think Hull needs something to kickstart the season, just like at the start. I mean, we're only 10 games in, but already we're seeing a lack of confidence from them. And I think they just need a build-up in confidence. Maybe in January transfer window they might sign a few players. That might boost squad confidence, I don't know. But they need to do something.
When you concede 6 goals against Bournemouth, who are only playing their second ever season in the Prem, I mean, it's a telltale that something's wrong. Yeah, and I feel that Mike Phelan, although he was getting good results, that was just, a bit of form. That was a bit, as you said, I mean, everyone underestimating what Hull would do. And this is wearing off. That's what always happens when someone underestimates a team. Yeah. And it was the bad appointment. I think they should have gotten a proper manager.
Watford, what do you think about them? They're playing good football. Do you think they'll keep it up? Pereira's been decent for them. Capoue, he's doing very well. What do you think?
They're beating in 4. They're 7th. Watford they're proving themselves to actually. I thought they'd go down straight away. Last season when they came up, I was like, Watford straight relegated, and they finished really well last season. And this season, they're doing really well for themselves, even though they sacked their manager.
You look at Igalo and Deeney from last year, just on the form of their lives, and this year they haven't scored as many goals as they did last season. Yeah. And they're getting goals from elsewhere, which is what I think has been key for them.
I think if they get Igalo and Deeney to suddenly hit form, because Igalo and Deeney this season, you saw they missed a few chances in the last game. Yeah. Against Hull, they were like, there was a few moments where they didn't communicate properly, and then they screwed up a chance. But if they do like last season, where they really just find each other with their eyes closed, they could actually be a proper danger to big teams and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, next game: Everton versus West Ham. What do you think? What do you think of Everton and their performances so far?
Jim?
Good game for them, to be fair. Obviously, West Ham will have the confidence from knocking out Chelsea from the EFL Cup, and West Ham have gone to Goodison and been taken apart by Ronald Koeman and his side.
Koeman, he's a good appointment. Koeman. I mean, they picked a good manager. He was Premier League proven. Obviously, extra funds, he's going to do well. Lukaku, he was alright in the game. He's Lukaku's a good player, a good striker for them.
I've been happy with. I have to say honestly, like the big highlight of Everton season. I mean, they were already second to start with after about 3 games, and that's the thing. Ronald Koeman is doing what he does at every club. He has a solid start to the season. He's not doing extremely well. But even, when teams like that come, a hard team like West Ham, who is suddenly picking up form and who Payet is suddenly in form, when they beat teams like that, and then they have big teams to beat as well, that's what Koeman does best. He keeps the composure in the
He's
team.
a big game player. Manager. Sorry. And another player I'd like to quickly talk about is Idrissa Gay. I think I don't know how you pronounce it, but he's done well for them. It's a tough pronunciation. Lewis would be able to cover that, but he's not here. Anyway, he's got good stats. He had a good game at the weekend, and I think he's going to be quite important for them. I mean, he's better than McCarthy, and I think he's a midfielder that they've been looking for.
Yeah, he's somewhat for the future as well. I'm not sure off my head how old he is, but...
We'll go on to Southampton versus Chelsea now quickly, and fun fact, a lot of you already probably knew this, but Chelsea are the only team in the whole of Europe to not concede one goal, so they've got a very good defence.
Well, this month.
This month, in October.
They conceded 3 against Arsenal.
They're playing 3 at the back, which is an attacking formation. Yeah, they've got one of the best defences in the league. What do you think about that?
Yeah, their formation really suits them, as we saw on Sunday.
But it's hard for you to talk about, Jem.
Yeah. Southampton just got exposed in the midfield because Chelsea have got quality players. Hazard and Costa both got on the score sheet, and Southampton just couldn't deal with it on the day. Great formation, great manager.
Yeah,
I think when Conte first came in, everyone said, look, he's going to play 3 at the back, and I said either he's going to play 4 at the back because 3 at the back doesn't work in England, or he'll play 3 at the back and he'll get exposed. And although that did happen against Arsenal, now it's been 3 games where he's been playing like that, and he's been playing really well. And I mean, I've been eating my words here. He's been really good, and I think he'll only bring better results to Chelsea.
A thing about Southampton quickly, and I think Jem will obviously talk about this more, is about Claude Puel. He's building a good Southampton team, and I think 1 or 2 seasons they might be challenging for Europa. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously it's been tough to get used to his sort of diamond formation that he plays in the middle because we're not used to that at Southampton. But I feel like Davis has really excelled, Romeu, Tadic, because Romeu's sort of filling in for Wanyama now.
Yeah.
He's sort of getting into
He's been all right. He's been good.
Yeah.
Southampton continuing that thing. They selling Wanyama, who was the midfield, engine for Southampton, Pella, who was the major goal scorer, and Mane, who was really, just delivering everything for the strikers, and somehow still playing really well this season. And, they've changed their tactics completely. Last year it was break on the counter. This year it's build-up play. And Claude Puel, even though he's only brought in one big player, which is Buffal, who's only played 2 games so far, the style of football has adapted so quickly that, I never saw this coming.
It's a thing we see with Southampton all the time, though. I mean, they lose their manager, they lost Pochettino, Koeman, but they always manage to replace him, and every replacement they get is a very good manager. And it's the same with players. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about Schneiderlin, Wanyama filled in, and such. They seem to lose players and managers, but it doesn't seem to affect them. I mean, that season when they lost Shaw and Lalonde and stuff.
Yeah, for the past 4 seasons, Southampton have finished in a higher league position each year.
They seem to be progressing each year, despite losing some of their star players, and I commend that. I mean, it's very good. They must have a very, very good scouting team, and they're a good team, so we'll see. Hopefully they don't let go of some of their star players from this season, and I want to see him build on it. I mean, Buffal, hopefully he doesn't go to Liverpool. If anything, I'd like to see him come to United for once.
I want him and Højbjerg here, and that'll be lovely.
But anyway, we're going to go on to Stoke versus Swansea now. We'll talk about this one briefly. And the first thing I want to kick off is Joe Allen. I mean, he's just proved great he's in great form. He scored more goals and contributed to goals than Pogba and Ibrahimovic combined, which I really hate to say, but is he the Welsh Xavi?
It was the right time to move for him, I think, because he wasn't going to get game time.
His career kind of came to a stalemate at Liverpool. And,
some people thought that, he was some people thought it was a really good, some people thought, I don't understand all the hype around him. There was one of the pundits on the Match of the Day who was saying he's not a very good player and, he should have left Liverpool for a smaller side because that's where he'll just about fit in. But, he's not just fit in at Swansea. In the last 3 games, he's been dominant. He has dominated teams who normally shouldn't allow a small, Welsh young midfielder to get through, to get in between the lines, and that's exactly what he's done.
So I mean, Stoke are turning around the season. I mean, at the start, Mark Hughes was under a lot of pressure. They don't have the best of starts, but they're kicking on. Anyway, we want to talk about Bob Bradley quickly, the American coach for Swansea. What do you think?
No words. 4 out of 10 appointment.
I think he's going to struggle. I think he'll get sacked at the end of the season or even sooner. Anyway, right, so that's all of the games talked about apart from one, which we're going to talk about now, which is Manchester United versus Burnley. As a United fan myself, it was one of the most frustrating games to play. Tom Heaton, I hate him, came from the United Academy and he just rubbed it back in our face. Didn't give us one goal, could have just let one slide by, but no.
Wait, Ibrahimovic missed an open goal.
No, I don't want to.
Right, I'm going to get in on this, right? Because Ibrahimovic, I have a PSG season ticket holder, and last year I saw exactly what he's doing this year. Even though he scored 50 goals last season for PSG, it's the same problem as we can see now. He doesn't move. He has really good technique when it comes to his shooting and his passing, because he can set up chances. But if the ball is moving very quickly, he's going to start walking. Which, I mean, for some reason, he doesn't know how to sprint. And then when he does sprint, he misses every chance.
It's his worst goal drought since 2007. But I'm not going to write him off just yet. In the season when United last won the Premier League, we had Robin Van Persie. And he didn't score for 10 games in a row. But he still kicked on. You can sort
of see how hard English leagues are compared to France.
Yeah, it just shows the difference in class.
Mario Balotelli's now playing out with skin.
He's scoring.
I think Balotelli fits, especially he fits Nice a bit more. I think the thing about people are looking at Balotelli's stats, they're not looking at the Nice style of play. But that's not what we're talking about today.
I mean,
right?
Ben Arfa, for example. We're going to get into this quickly. Nice seems because I'm very interested. I mean, Nice, they revived Ben Arfa's career. Now they're doing it with Balotelli. We're not going to get into that.
But that was Claude. No, it was Claude. Balotelli is only working because Nice French teams play really deep. They don't play offside. They don't really care. And Balotelli means he doesn't have to run or anything unless there's a big counter and someone hoofs it up to him. Then he can get it on the run. And his finishing is still second to none. But, in England and in Italy, he was always tightly marked, which he isn't in France.
It just shows the difference, I suppose.
It really fits him.
Let's take the topic back to Manchester United versus Burnley quickly. Went on a bit of a tangent then. Paul Pogba, something I'd like to say. I mean, he's been getting a lot of stick in the media, and I can see why. But in the Burnley game, he got stick, and I think it was just uncalled for. I mean, he made some good chances. Ibra didn't finish him. I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, he can only do his best. He can't finish chances that he creates for other players. Yeah. So I understand that his price tag was insane at 89 million plus extras, I guess. But he's 23 years old, and he's only going to get better. He gets a lot of stick, which I do understand in some games. I mean, I've said it myself. In some games he's been dire, he's been poor, but he's just settling in, I suppose. It's a lot different.
I think it's really Mourinho's problem. Mourinho is, he brought in all these new signings. First of all, he's not playing Mkhitaryan, which is completely
shocking.
ridiculous.
To me, that is shocking.
I mean, Bundesliga Player of the Year. He should have been shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or. The performances he put in for Dortmund were unreal.
Crazy amount of goals and assists.
And then he decides not to play him, and he decides to play Lingard, who is literally a dab merchant. He lives off the fact that he dabs. And he decides to play Rashford, who is known for being a good striker on the wing, Martial on the bench, and then he decides to play Pogba in central midfield, which is not the role he played at Juventus. Even though he's a CM on FIFA, when he played for Juventus, he moved high up. You saw all the goals he scored. They were just on the edge of the box. He was higher up than their midfielders. Because they created a really good midfield triangle. And Jose Mourinho says, nah, mate, I'm going to play him in midfield with bloody Fellaini. It's ridiculous.
What do you think the biggest problem is? Do you think it's Mourinho or is it the players? What's your opinion?
I think it's Mourinho.
I hate to say it, and I'm probably going to regret saying this, but...
can't take an old dog new tricks. And that's the thing with Mourinho. He may be good, but he's no Alex Ferguson.
I mean, I think he's suffering from a bit of a lack of confidence. I mean, he got sacked from Chelsea, and I think that damaged his confidence. I mean, I think he needs to get a couple of wins, get a bit of a winning streak going, and I think we might see the old Mourinho. But I see it on the...
He drew against Burnley and lost against Watford.
But look,
those are the games where
to be fair, that is...
get wins.
Ibrahimovic was the fault for that one, and Watford game, but I personally, I'd like to see Rashford given a few games up top. I think swap him with Ibra, take Ibra off, put Martial on the left. I'd like to see Mkhitaryan on the right, and Mata in the central attacking midfield, with behind them being Pogba and Herrera, with Pogba just moving up a bit. I think that's the best attacking kind of forward team that we can play. But
I said this when what's his name, Ibrahimovic joined, and I'll say it again. The main problem is that this is an ego. I mean, what's it called? Ibrahimovic's ego is literally the size of the club. If you don't start Zlatan, if you put Zlatan on the bench, he will get royally pissed at Mourinho, and Mourinho knows that. The only way you win a league is by playing, is by having all the players in harmony, and you're never going to win a league with Ibrahimovic without starting in every game he's fit.
Sign Griezmann. That's my thing. Anyway, right, we'll end it there. We'll end the team discussion there, and we'll end the podcast there. So thank you everybody who's listened to this podcast. 30 minutes long. It's the first podcast. There'll be another one up next week on Wednesday. Every Wednesday we will have a podcast up, along with other videos such as top 10s, hopefully in between the week. But that's it from me, Brandon. I'll see you in the next one. Would you like to say bye, guys?
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.